voice cracked on that one, didn't it? Welcome to the Kind of Sleepy Podcast. I'm your host, Knowledge, and who do I have to my left?
The voice of reason, Miss EP.
Welcome back.
Hey.
What was you?
Out handling the business.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, I'll leave it alone. So we got a lot to talk about on this week's show, man. This is so much that's going on. We a little late. We a little delayed in releasing the show, and really it's because we were just enjoying the holiday weekend. I've really enjoyed mine. I got some rest, a little bit of rest.
You celebrated Memorial Day?
Well, wasn't no celebration. I mean, I put it like this. I celebrated having some time to sleep.
Right.
I didn't celebrate, I don't celebrate, the passing of our brothers in arms, but not. So, anyway.
I was just being messy. But
yeah, I know you was being messy. See, that's that light skin shit. Anyway, so let's jump right into everything that we got going on. So, Aaron Schlossberg, we talked about Aaron, I want to say last week maybe. He's the lawyer from New York that went off on these two Spanish-speaking employees of a sandwich shop, I think it was. And he just turned out to be all kinds of just a coward after that. Once he got exposed, he was running from cameramen and all kind of stuff. He released I guess it's a Twitter press release or whatever, saying, "To the people I insulted, I apologize. Seeing myself online opened my eyes. The manner in which I express myself is unacceptable and is not the person I am. See my words and actions hurts people, and for that I'm deeply sorry. While people should be able to express themselves freely, they should do so calmly and respectfully. What the video did not convey is the real me. I am not racist. One of the reasons I moved to New York is precisely because of the remarkable diversity offered in this wonderful city. I love this country and this city in part because of immigrants and the diversity of cultures immigrants bring to this country. Again, my sincerest apologies to anyone and everyone I hurt. Thank you, and we don't believe your ass."
It sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds cute, but I don't believe him. And the thing is, like, once you do something like that and get exposed, like, people start bringing up all of your dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that he was at I think they showed pulled up another video. This guy who's he's like a YouTube personality, showed a video of him like purposely bumping into him and then, just automatically going off on him because he thought he was an immigrant when the guy is actually an American citizen. And now this guy was really calm. This YouTube personality was really calm and just kind of walked away because he was like, yeah, this guy's weird and crazy. Like, and Mr. Schlossberg threatened to call the police on him, saying that they was taking up the whole sidewalk when really it was like a whole lot of sidewalk. But then there's another video of him. I don't know whether it was at a Trump rally. I think it was at a Trump rally or some other type of immigration rally maybe, where he's being very, very aggressive and trying to physically intimidate people. Yeah, he's got other, his fellow alt-right folks behind him, and so he's real, he's real bold then. So, yeah, all that came out, dude. Don't nobody believe this apology.
Yeah, I think people forget about the concept of receipts.
For real,
like we're collecting them.
Yeah,
and we'll pull them out as needed. Maybe people think that even if I am like recorded or something, nobody knows who I am. But then the mistake is when something happens,
there are people who don't like you who recognize your face,
right? And
the moment you go viral for something like this,
that's when they pull out the receipts.
They pulling all the receipts. They pulling all the receipts, and you can't get away from it. Well, so
good luck, bud.
I'm not wishing them no damn good luck. I don't wish racists good luck. So he went off on these two employees who were speaking Spanish in a restaurant near where his office was. And moving on with the theme of restaurants, I suppose, we got a video that we posted to the page of this guy. It's one of those, like, I guess like I don't know if this is like a chain restaurant or something, but there's this guy, he's in a restaurant, he's recording, and this young black female employee is kind of going back and forth with an Asian woman who I'm assuming is the assistant manager. And then the manager or the owner or whoever he is, comes around there and smacks the girl. Now, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're my boss or not. The moment you put your hands on me, you've gone beyond the realm of any sort of reasonable reprimand or even sort of discussion. Like, it was completely ridiculous. Like, have you ever had somebody come at you sideways at work?
No, not that bad. Not at all.
Well, I can imagine not that bad. Like, I think that's a rarity. Like, people getting their hands put on them at work.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, you have people who do like the low key shade thing or whatever, you know.
Yeah. And that's when you hit them with as per my last email.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that corporate thugging.
You know.
But yeah, no, definitely not that bad. I will say, watching the video, I feel like her face after he hit her was the perfect representation of when I often talk about us being conditioned to have this fear within us again.
Right.
I feel like that's what was displayed on her face, because you have to consider like a million things before you react. She could have reacted.
But had she hit him, she'd have been the one to go to jail.
She would have been the one that went to jail. When the police got there, she may not have made it to jail. So you have to think way beyond, right? Like, oh, I just want to go ahead and pop back off. You know, you want nigga here. You know, you can't always give it to him. You could tell she was conflicted. Like,
do I hit him or do I take this other route?
Yep.
And that's the reality of it. Like, I've never had anybody put their hands on me, and I'm not so sure I would. I think I kind of give the impression that the moment you put your hands on me, all sorts of reasonable discussion goes out the window. I like to think that may be why, but I also like to think that maybe I've worked at places where that's not even an option as well.
Yeah,
I've been tried at work. We've talked about this. I got tried one time at work, and my eye was twitching. And one thing about me, I strive for the utmost in professionalism. But that day, yeah.
See, I'm a little too calm. Like, I will calmly think of the most biggest get back type of thing I could do. Like, I would have stayed calm, walked around the counter, reached over and slapped the life out of his wife, because he slapped her. Because of he was saying she was being
defending his
right.
wife,
He said she was being disrespectful to his wife. So I would have walked around the counter where I could easily go ahead and leave, and slapped the life clean smooth up out of his wife and left.
You would have seen her spirit float up out of her body
straight to the clouds.
The upper room.
Anybody who knows me know I hate the whole concept of clouds. Like, if I die, don't put my face in the clouds, please.
I'll tell you right
now. If this is recorded, I have told everybody.
Whole t-shirt.
No, do not put me in clouds.
With your face in the clouds.
I'm coming back and I'm haunting everybody who got one.
And I'm putting a banner over the top of it. It's gonna say the upper room.
Don't put me in clouds or field of flowers, please. And don't use old English letters on my obituary or my program. Do not put old English letters.
So what if I get like EP tatted in old English, like on the back of my neck? Is that gonna
it
be
will
acceptable?
itch forever. Forever.
I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not touching that no more. So on some good news, shout out to Ricky Smiley and that whole team. There was this. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was this image that went viral of this young man who caught the bus to his graduation, and the image was of him walking to his graduation with his cap and gown on. And come to find out that this young man was riding the bus, getting up, I think they said at 4:30 in the morning every morning to ride the bus from one side of town to the other side of town to go to a better school. And he did that for the whole year, and he graduated. He got his diploma. And Ricky Smiley was so touched by his perseverance and his consistency that he got with I want to say Tyrese and maybe somebody else. So I want to say the Brat chipped in too, and they bought this young man a car.
It's amazing. Yeah,
this young man also, as I was listening to his interview, like the day after he graduated, I want to say he already had a job lined up for himself. I want to say like a tire plant or an auto parts plant.
Yeah, something like that.
But after they found out that, he was walking and all that, somebody called him from a nearby university and offered him a 4-year scholarship.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, he said that in the interview.
That's dedication.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I would rather have somebody with a 2.5 that'll see it through than somebody with a 4.0 and no work ethic.
Exactly.
And so I think that maybe had something to do with, why this young man got that. And so I wish all the best for him. Really glad that he has reliable transportation, and that was just amazing
They also set him up with someone to help him study for his test so he could get his driver's license. He doesn't have it.
Yeah, he doesn't have a license yet. And so they was like, Ricky Smiley told him he had to get a license. So I guess he's got like driving classes or something going on. So they got the video up of him getting in the car and everything. We linked to it on the page. And he's got I think a Jeep Cherokee maybe.
I think it's a Compass.
Jeep. Well, maybe. It's one of them. Either way, it's really nice.
It is really. He's so humble.
Got
though.
leather seats and everything.
He's so humble. I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
some kids would have been like super excited and screaming and yeah, but he was so humble.
He was just chill.
It.
He was like, man, appreciate it. Like me, I probably had I been him at like 17, 18, I'd have been like, bro, thank you so much. Because I'm so tired of putting oil in my car every morning before I leave it in again when I get back. Yeah, so that would have been that was my life back then. That's another story though. But yeah, that's a great feel good story. Story that doesn't feel so good.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. We didn't talk about this story initially on the show, I don't think. There was a young woman in Texas, Sharita Dixon Cole, who claimed that she was pulled over, threatened, and sexually assaulted by a police officer. And the story, was very interesting. Daniel Hubbard is the name of the police officer who she says threatened to sexually assault her and all that. And her fiance, she said he did it kind of in front of her fiance, and that her fiance was, made to feel like, I guess he was emasculated throughout the whole thing. Well, in a situation that should happen more often than not, that police department released the footage from the body cam. And the body cam didn't show, basically exonerated that officer from everything that Miss Dixon Cole said he did. In fact, he was very courteous. He was almost overly professional. He was way more professional than I expected him to be in the body cam footage. And this lady just told a bold-faced, black-ass lie, her and her fiance.
You would think his demeanor would have been a little borderline, given the accusation. Right, something. Oh, maybe she just took it the wrong way.
Or something.
That helpful.
But her and her fiance, it's just, they both lied to the whole world. And then it will make it so bad, in the video, she's not hysterical, she's not crying. There's nothing that gives me any indication that she feels as though she's being treated unfairly by this police officer. And,
I think she's mentally unstable, and so is the fiance.
Her and her fiance have to be mentally unstable, and she lied to a lot of people. Her cousins and everything else. She lied to a lot of folks.
A good elaborate lie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
what? And the thing is, stuff like this makes it harder for we got a lot of other stories coming up, but stories like this make it so much harder to get justice for other women who really are victims of stuff like this, whether it be police brutality or sexual assault. Specifically women of color who, as we've said on this show before, are the least protected demographic in the country. I mean, this is unconscionable. I hope she gets 1,000 paper cuts on the bottom of her feet and has to walk through a tub of alcohol and
jalapeno juice
and hooker spit. Yeah, that's nasty. Truth be told, one thing about me, I feel if you do something like this on this level, you should, if you lie about somebody sexually assaulting you, if you lie about, certain things like police brutality, stuff like that, I feel there should be some sort of repercussions for that.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought if you did lie about sexual assault, that you were charged with something.
If there's a police report made, there was no charge.
Okay, it didn't get that far.
Here. Right. She was trying to convict him in the court of public opinion.
She needs the same.
I think that she could probably be sued for slander or libel or something like that. I think that more people need to pursue stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, and I think the reason we don't is because that runs a slippery slope. Like, you perceive something, like if you perceive me as being sexually harassing to you, I can't just turn around and say, I ain't sexually harass you because that wasn't my intent.
Right.
You know. So, but we're going to get into sexual harassment a little bit more later. Moving right along, in a situation, and see, this next story is what I'm talking about when I say it makes it a lot harder. There were 3 black women who were at Houston's restaurant in Atlanta. They're actresses. One of them is actually on Greenleaf. They said that the kitchen was closed, but the restaurant was still open, and they went to the restroom, and they said that they were in the restroom for less than 10 minutes, and the officer and an off-duty police officer came in there and drugged them out and arrested them. So the whole thing. So the officer's report says that, you know, he entered the restroom, asked them to leave, and they laughed at him. Well, first of all, why are you a man sticking your head in the women's bathroom like that? And the thing is, I don't know what y'all do in the women's bathroom. You have way more experience with women's bathrooms than I do. But my thing is, if, you know, women are in the bathroom, I'm assuming you guys talk or maybe laugh, or especially if it's your friends. And maybe if they did laugh, maybe they weren't even laughing at him. Maybe they didn't even hear him.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him to go in there and grab them and snatch them out like that, and there's video of this, you know, he is kind of aggressive with them. And I'm like, did it really take all that? Like,
of course not. It never does.
So, I mean, the video is there. We got the link up, and it's just really crazy. Like, and after he manhandles those women, you know, another one comes up, another officer shows up and arrests them for criminal trespass. And the woman with the camera was arrested for criminal obstruction. Felony obstruction.
Really?
Felony obstruction. So, yeah. That's wild to me. Now, T.I., who actually, if I'm not mistaken, has a stake in Houston, has a little bit of money into that restaurant there in Atlanta. He posted a video on his Instagram with a whole bunch of big words.
Not as many. I thought it was going to have more. I was trying to count. No, like, seriously. When I saw the video, I was like, ooh, I got out a little piece of paper. I was like, let me count. Do like a little tally of all the big words.
But basically, he said, you know, we'll shut it down if we have to.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to say is that I can kind of appreciate T.I.'s newfound fervency for social activism. I appreciate it. And I really wish other artists would kind of follow along. I mean, do I think T.I. is the next Harry Belafonte? No. But do I appreciate his efforts? Absolutely. And I wish more people would go into it as well. Next up, Rachel Dolezal.
They have a back.
How many times have I said on this show, go home, Rachel? Like, if Rachel would just go home and
where's home?
Quiet. I don't know. Like, wherever she considers, Wakanda, wherever she wants to go. If Rachel would just be quiet and get out the limelight, like, she would have way less problems.
Okay, question, though.
Uh-huh.
Do you think her consistently ending up in the limelight, do you think is intentional?
Yes, it's absolutely intentional.
So it's not just by coincidence.
Right. If Rachel Dolezal had just disappeared and continued braiding hair and minding her damn business instead of putting out this book, this documentary, trying to do a speaking tour and all that, she wouldn't have, and this next story proves that she pretty much brought this on herself. So Rachel Dolezal is facing felony theft charges due to welfare fraud. So you wanted the black experience, Rachel. Well, here it is. You know, we get charged with things, you know, very frequently. You know, scratching and surviving. So check this out. So according to court documents, I'm reading this directly from Fox News now, so y'all know it's fair and balanced, right? So according to court documents, investigators with Washington State's Department of Social and Health Services started looking into Dolezal's finances in March 2017 after the publication of her autobiography, In Full Color, Finding My Place in a Black and White World. Now, had she never published that book, she never would have had these issues. I'm all for living your truth and telling your truth, but hey, at some point you got to realize you need to sit your ass down somewhere.
Well,
now, the investigator said Dolezal claimed that her only source of income was $300 per month in gifts from friends. Now, what this says to me is that she's not getting child support for her babies.
maybe not.
Do they count that?
What? For the income?
She said her only source of income was the $300 a month in gifts from friends. Is that counted as income for the purpose of food stamps or anything else? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if that's all you claiming.
Right, that's all she claimed.
Now check this out. The department found that she had deposited nearly $84,000 in her bank account between August 2015 and September 2017. So roughly $42,000 a year. Mm-hmm. But you only claiming literally $3,600 a year.
You know, I really don't want to hear about Rachel anymore. I want to meet like her friends. I want to meet like her circle of people that advise her. Because Tamika and them wrong for telling her to do that.
So according to the investigation, the money came from the sales of her book. Mm-hmm. First of all, so the sales of her book as well as the sale of her art, soaps, and handmade dolls. Now, here's my question. What kind of book deal did she get? Because I know that a lot of people don't make a lot of books, but I would imagine that with a story as widely known as and compelling as hers was supposed to be, she would have got a much bigger or better book deal than that.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I think a lot of white people weren't even impressed with Rachel. And black people weren't. So, yeah. I mean, what's the market?
True. I didn't think about it like that. So, the authorities say Dolezal illegally received $8,747 in food assistance and $100 in child care assistance from August 2015 to November 2017. So that's 26 months. So she was getting roughly $370 or so a month in food stamps.
Whether she needed it or not, it probably just did something for her to have the experience of saying she received food assistance.
So here's what she said. She did report a change of circumstance to the state agency, saying she did a one-time job in October 2017 worth $20,000. The report says Dolezal told investigators in April that she had fully disclosed her information and she declined to answer further questions. She's also charged with perjury and making false verification for public assistance.
I mean, it may not be her fault. It honestly may not be her fault. If May ran up there at the office, you know how they real slow on doing paperwork and stuff, and she probably wasn't paying no attention and didn't update the girl's stuff right. I mean, it may not be her fault. Honestly, it may not be her fault. It's a possibility that this is not her fault.
So you just gonna pull out your cape for Rachel?
No, I'm not caping for Rachel. I'm just saying.
I mean, you may not be caping for her, but I see some fabric flapping in the breeze.
No, it's a lot of swole ankle lazy women that work sometimes at the
they ain't out here writing
government assistance office that's not very into their job. Not all of them. Not all of them. I'm not saying everybody.
Why they gotta be swole ankle though? Why they gotta be swole ankle?
Because a lot of them are. They mean, they rude. You walk in, nobody says hello, how you doing, good morning. Just everybody got an attitude. 37. Right. How was your experience recently?
Okay, so recently I had to go get a new license. And I actually had a pretty decent experience. I was in and out within 30 minutes.
That's great. I'm glad.
And so now I got to go back to another government a local government office soon to handle some business. But when I went there today, I didn't have all my paperwork today when I stopped by there. But everybody was pleasant. The line was moving quick. I mean, it may be where I am.
Right.
And it may be like the nature of what I'm doing. But I can imagine like in some other departments, like maybe in Department of Social and Human Services or whatever this is called, like some of the people are a little bit more judgmental, which causes which causes them to look at people in a certain way.
Right.
So I don't know, but you know, if y'all had voted Rachel off the island when this first happened, Rachel wouldn't be going through this and facing felony charges now.
No, I think she did get voted off. Rachel just keeps making her way back.
Well, Rachel, welcome to niggerhood. Anyway, so this next story. I've been begging y'all to vote this nigga off the island for years now. I'm so sick of his ass. R. Kelly has been accused of infecting somebody with herpes.
Isn't this old?
This is another one. This is a new one.
But
this is a whole new one. This just came out last week.
I know, but like, didn't they already determine something about whether or not he has herpes?
This is another one.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so sick of R. Kelly. Like, and I have to ask this question again. Like, all these people that get shot in Chicago, and you have all these, headlines and stuff about it. Like, can't nobody like touch R. Kelly? Like,
no.
All these goons in the world, like, can't nobody like run down on Kells? Like, is he like? Why is he untouchable? Like, I don't understand this.
I mean, because at this point, honestly, I mean, we can roll with the songs he's already made if we want to just hang on to the music. I mean, somebody was stepping in the name of love this weekend.
Right.
So,
but
I
ain't hanging on to shit.
I know. I'm just saying for those who want to, you can continue to step in the name of love if that's what you choose to do. It's not like we need him around to make new music. We just need old music.
I just want him to go away forever.
Yeah, I don't think he's going away.
I just want him to go away forever.
I really, honestly, I hate to say this because I do believe that he's done some things that's definitely wrong and inappropriate, but I don't think he will ever be held accountable for what he's done.
I don't think so either because his victims are black women.
I don't think.
I think that is the primary reason he'll never be held accountable because his victims are black women. And prior to this, from what I know, from what I've read, from what I've seen, from what has been uncovered, they were typically poor black women. So, first of all, you're black. Second of all, you're a woman. Third of all, you're poor. That's the trifecta of not giving a fuck in America. Right. Like, we don't have to care about you. And it's sad. It's disgusting. And what really bothers me is that recently here, there was a concert for R. Kelly, and it was packed to capacity, full of black women, some of whom I know for a fact aren't financially well off. And I'm just like, why? Why? Like, if it was your daughter, why? Like, let's not get into that. Because I'm gonna get mad all over again.
Oh goodness. Okay.
Because I just do not understand why people are just determined to rationalize and justify this sick bastard continuing to even exist in a space of notoriety. Like, it's just disgusting.
Well, this is my thing. I never hear the end result of anything. So there's never any real charges made. Is it really? To me, it just seems like there are stories that are blown out.
And here's why for people that don't understand why folks settle out of court. First of all, look at how rape and sexual assault victims are treated in this country. They're already ostracized, second-guessed, and doubted. So you mean to tell me now I have to get up here on the stand and put all of my business out here for the entire world to see and have a defense attorney come and dismantle my entire life and talk about some of the most embarrassing, dark secret stuff in my life, and you want me to go through all that so I can sit here and meet your standard of what you feel should be done in terms of holding someone accountable? No. I would rather for most people, they would rather make it go away.
Right.
I would not put my daughter through something like that. I would not put my cousin through something like that. I would not put a female friend through something like that. And if they can be compensated and go somewhere and get some therapy and maybe get in a better life situation, then I would definitely do that for them so they can begin the process of healing, as opposed to having them sit up there and have the wound opened and reopened and a knife put into it and twisted, and then have people still look at you crazy and try to rationalize why you're the victim. You're the victim.
So there's no consequence for him.
Right. There isn't.
That's the trade-off.
And the thing is, what people don't understand, like, we got a couple other people to talk about, but like, sexual assault and rape cases take two things. This isn't Law and Order SVU. They take time and a victim who is brave enough mentally and emotionally strong enough to stand there and withstand this onslaught of being second guessed, being talked about, having your entire personal life drugged through the mud. Like, for example, they're going to completely examine your entire sexual history, and they will drag it out for the whole world to see, so that they can paint you as just a promiscuous thought instead of an actual victim. And so and the thing is, some people out there really believe that if you're promiscuous and you get sexually assaulted and raped, oh, you deserved it because what happened was you changed your mind.
Right.
As if your body is no longer yours because you may enjoy sex. It's ridiculous. And personally, like, anyway, let me not go there, because
you coming back from the light?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was going to go down a whole list of ways that people could hold R. Kelly accountable, but that ain't for this podcast.
Oh, okay.
Speaking about people being held accountable, Harvey Weinstein finally turned himself in on sex crime charges. And like people kept, when Bill Cosby was going through his whole thing, people like, well, they still ain't got Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
This takes time. Investigations take time. Do you realize that there are some places that have thousands of rape kits, DNA rape kits, that are backlogged? Thousands.
That's horrible.
Hundreds in some cities. Thousands in some cities. Like, and so these rape kits and these rape cases and all this stuff, it doesn't happen overnight, people.
But the other thing is, turning himself in isn't necessarily admitting guilt.
Well, the charges came out.
Mm-hmm.
So he was charged with sexual assault. And so so there are two accusers, and he turned himself in because he knew he was being charged.
Right, so it's like you can either turn yourself in or they can come get you. So
yeah, he already did his perp walk. I mean, he's got $1 million bail, and he's on an electronic ankle monitor, so he's on house arrest. Which, given the amount of money that Weinstein has, I don't know if $1 million is reasonable. Mm-hmm. It could be. I mean, he has. I know he has a lot of money, but bail is not meant to punish you. Bail is an amount that is, that you put up. That should that you're afraid to lose by not coming to court.
Right.
So it should compel you to be there. So that's why bail is a big issue for some people, because it's way more than, like, they will come to court, but it's way more than they can afford to put up and just have in escrow somewhere. So, but yeah, Harvey Weinstein, 66 years old. So glad he's being brought to justice. And the reality of it is that I want to see how this trial shakes out, because, given the nature of the offenses and given the number of people that are willing to really put him down at this point, I think this is one of the cases where we'll actually see justice. Shout out to Dame Dash for slapping him too. Yeah. Dame Dash is my hero for slapping Harvey Weinstein. Just saying.
I feel like even if it's overdue, I mean, you have to face justice one day.
Justice delayed should never be justice denied.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at it. So glad that he's in trouble, so to speak. Morgan Freeman.
Oh, Lord.
So, So a total of 8 women have accused Morgan Freeman of inappropriate behavior and or sexual harassment. And we've only really heard publicly and, broadly from one, who was the lady from CNN, who said that Morgan Freeman inappropriately said something to her while she was pregnant. And when they posted the video, she said that Morgan Freeman looked her up and down and said, "Boy, I wish I was there."
And he bit his lip.
Pregnant, and bit his lip or whatever. And so when I looked at the video, Morgan Freeman is on stage with 2 other actors and they're being interviewed and all that. And he said, "I wish I was there. You are ripe." So I'm looking at this video and the comment comes so out of the blue. It's so weird. Like, it's such a strange comment to be made at that point. And now, if you know anything about me, I'm the last person to cape for folks that's accused of sexual assault and rape, especially by multiple people at this point. Like, if it's 8 people accusing you, even if 4 of them telling the truth, you deserve justice needs to be served. But this one, I was like, lady, I don't even think he was talking to you.
No, okay. So when I watched before I pressed play, I said, okay, watch this video, not with the mindset of find what he did wrong, right? Just watch the video and just see what you think about it. I definitely did not think he was talking to her, and I didn't think he said, "You're right." I thought he was responding to the guy to his left. And he was telling him a story about something that happened once before, way back when, and the response seemed appropriate to say, "I wish I was there," as in, I wish I could have witnessed what you're telling.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like it.
I don't think he was talking to her. I'm thinking, well, maybe that's the only video clip she had to show like him staring at her. But the argument she's making is not about that comment. Like, the comment she's referring to wasn't recorded.
Right. Like,
it has to be.
And one thing about that is that, now, I've heard some old men say some real wild stuff. I've heard old Southern men say some wild stuff as it relates to women. I have never heard an old black man look at a woman and say, "Boy, I wish I was there."
Hold on, wait. Let me point this out. To look at a pregnant woman.
And
say, "I wish." You know how many men already don't claim half their children? If any, okay, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. So you going to look at a pregnant woman and be like, "You wish you were there? So you want an extra child and child support?"
Now here's the thing. Morgan Freeman did marry his stepdaughter.
Okay, so I'm not caping for Morgan because I'm not doing that at all. But when I watched the video, her and the whole thing about his facial expression, I was like, the nigga old. Like, he probably can't see that good. I know just about every older person
and
I
his
know.
Lips might have been ashy.
Right. That nigga skin dry. He can't see good. He got to book his eyes. I mean, that's just part of it.
He got one layer of skin left, and he trying to hold on to it by moisturizing it. Don't.
I mean, come on.
But the thing is, I don't. While I looked at that video, I was like, okay, I don't see it. I don't see it that time.
Right. That doesn't mean it didn't happen.
7 other women whose stories, are out there about him trying to lift their skirts and having women twirl around in public meetings and things of that nature, and all kinds of inappropriate behavior. Yeah.
Well, I really don't want to get nailed to the cross for this one, but I'm gonna say it. Okay. I feel like majority of men that are of celebrity status, that are equivalent to what some people would define as powerful men, right? So they have interactions with women on a regular basis that is what I feel like would be considered inappropriate. But those women that they have the inappropriate interactions with, that don't see anything wrong with them. Like, some women, it's natural for them to flirt along with them. They find it funny. They don't see anything wrong with it, So they have these inappropriate interactions with some women who don't see anything wrong with it. And I think, unfortunately, majority of their interactions with women are with women who don't see anything wrong with the inappropriate behavior.
And
so when
they
run
project that
across
onto other women
right,
as
so
well.
when you run across other women who do see it as being inappropriate, that's where the problem comes in at, which is ass backwards to me. Because this woman is saying, no, I don't want to interact with you that way. But it's the norm for them at that point. And so I think that's what causes the hiccup.
Yeah, but my thing is, if it's okay, so my relationship with you is not it's not like my relationship with Jane over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so at some point I have to be like, okay, me and your relationship is one where we can be of a flirtatious nature and maybe have an inappropriate or off-color comment or two.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Jane's relationship is, okay, ma'am, you're with craft services. Can we have some more juice in the trailer or something like that?
Right.
And move right along. So I understand what you're saying, but at some point you have to realize that everybody ain't playing them games with you like that.
Yeah, I agree. But if for like the last 15, 20 years,
majority
of the women,
years
right,
old.
Majority of the women around you are flirtatious and they joke around with you because you're a nasty old creep. I mean, so it gets kind of messed up when you run across one that's like, oh no, he has to be, held accountable for this. This is not okay. It's not acceptable.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta kind of be a little bit smarter when you're the voice of God.
That is true.
Like at one point, I really said, like, if I died and got to heaven,
you were not gonna look to hear Morgan
Freeman's voice. I'd have been like, you know what, this is appropriate.
Well, now if it happens and you hear Morgan Freeman's voice, you're probably not in heaven.
Yeah,
no.
If I hear Dennis Haysbert's voice, I'm gonna be like the Allstate man.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I hear his voice, I'd be like, I made it.
Glad I made. Okay. And bring it on back.
Moving right along. So, speaking of inappropriate, y'all president ain't shit. That's all I'm gonna say. Like y'all president really ain't shit. This mofo last week he released a press release about MS-13, and this is an official communication from the White House. Official now. And it says, what you need to know about the violent animals of MS-13. At what point, like, this can't be serious.
It's serious. It is. Believe it.
Now, in addition, so, he goes through just MS-13, and of course, this is the ultimate dog whistle. But then he released another press release when they canceled the North Korea meeting. And he wrote a letter to Kim, an open letter basically to Kim Jong-un.
Do you have expectations that anything that comes from the White House at this point will be of any sort of professional
and there was a lady,
standard?
There was a teacher who actually corrected the entire letter and sent it to the White House. But my thing is his followers completely think this is acceptable. Like, this is what lets me know that Americans are stupid.
Very,
very stupid.
I've told you I think this is an experiment.
See how much stupidity we can take?
I love it. I mean, they've already proven us stupid with the attachment to cell phones and how much we pay for them. I think it started off as an experiment. It's been proven at this point. How much money do people pay per month for a cell phone to have internet access at your fingertips and we don't even use it?
Yeah.
I mean, they started, they hooked us all in the beginning. They hooked us all. They were like, yo, extend your contract for 2 years. You get a free phone. So then after a while, they started changing. They went from free phones to, maybe $200-$300 phones. And now people are literally going out getting $1,000 phones just because you now have become used to it. So I think that Trump being president, this whole thing that we're experiencing is the same thing. It's an experiment. We're going to be dummied down. Our expectations should be lowered after this. Although you're frustrated about it, your expectations should still be lowered. And, you know, what happens after this, I don't know.
Well, President Twitter fingers. Another thing that President Twitter, he tweeted about all this, by the way. And so another thing that he tweeted about was, you know, he's constantly tweeted about the NFL, constantly talked about the football players and all that stuff. And the NFL basically let us know that, you know, they agreed with him for the most part and they're on his side. And so they create this new policy that requires all players who are going to be on the field to stand for the anthem. And they can choose to actually be in the locker room if not. Now, this also comes around the same time as more evidence is coming together, pretty much proving Colin Kaepernick's collusion suit that he has against the NFL. And they actually have emails now talking about how they were wanting to appease Trump in their collusion. So just gonna be perfectly honest, at this point, the only professional football I will be watching is played overseas, and they cannot use their hands, and they don't wear helmets. I'm gonna be watching soccer. That's the only professional football I'll be watching. As far as I'm concerned, the NFL is trash. And they pretty much let me know how they feel about me and the black bodies that make them millions. So, Sean King did post that, but they were some of the players were trying to get about 25% of the black players of the league to sit out. 25% of black players in the league would really make a statement.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's just amazing to me that people are still like, it's so disrespectful. Well, this protest was everything you told us it should be. It was silent. It was off to the side. It was, you know, it didn't block traffic. It wasn't violent. You know, it wasn't public for real. Like, and when I say public, I mean it didn't use public streets or thoroughfares or parks. It wasn't a march.
We followed all the rules.
And still
not good enough.
Yeah, and so that proves to me that it's not about, you know, the protest or the nature of the protest. It's about what's being protested.
Oh, most of the rules are to discourage you from just doing the protest, period, because it's too much to do. You know, nobody wants to do all of that. Well, when you do all of that, it's still, you know, it's still not gets their reaction.
You know, and so I just, personally, I don't get it. I don't understand their thought process. I don't think I want to ever understand their thought process. So, yeah.
Do you blame players? Or can you blame players? Because I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm just playing devil's advocate, but for majority of these people, they're paid millions of dollars that the average person won't see. Millions of dollars that, of course, they didn't have prior to. And if you chose to just take a knee, if you chose to sit it out, if you chose to kneel for something in order to technically stand for something, and you lost some of the millions of dollars you had as a result of doing it, is it not worth it though? I mean, I'm not going to, you know, knock your knees for you not doing it, but I mean, it's almost like out of anybody who could stand to lose something, I don't want to count your pockets, but majority of them, you could stand to lose it.
One big thing that I talk about is that I'm not going to be a thousandaire trying to determine what millionaires should do.
True.
And if I'm a guy making the league minimum, or I'm on the practice squad, I'm going to do what I got to do to keep my job.
I agree. I definitely agree.
If I'm Richard Sherman, if I'm Cam Newton,
right.
If I'm some of these, well, and I kind of hesitated with Cam Newton because he did the All Lives Matter thing a little while back, you know, and I haven't forgotten that. But if I'm Richard Sherman, who's very awake, if I'm Michael Bennett, you know, if I'm Beast Mode, you know, if I'm these premier top tier people, if I'm even Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, yeah, he's coming off his rookie contract year, but he can make some noise. If I'm Dak Prescott, if I'm some of these top tier, you know, athletes, they're going to want to keep me happy.
Right.
They're going to want to keep me on that field. They're going to keep me playing. And you watched how they did Kaepernick. And so my thought process is they can't hang all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that in 2018. So what are you afraid of? You're already called also, like, especially with Cam Newton. Cam Newton is already called all sorts of niggas, and
right,
and they talked so bad about him dancing, called him disrespectful to the league, and this, that, and the third. They questioned his heart, they questioned his talent, they questioned his intelligence. Hated the fact that, like this one lady wrote a whole open letter saying that she didn't want to see him gyrating and celebrating dancing and stuff like that. He doesn't get the same, benefit of the doubt like a Phillip Rivers or a Tom Brady. And so they've told you, the fans have told you how they feel about you, Cam.
Right.
They talked about your baby moms and your kid. Like they told you how they feel about you. So I mean, at some point, where's your pride? And I get it. These guys are making millions of dollars, money that I can't fathom right now.
Right.
Right now. I can't fathom that. Like, if you put $1 million in a suitcase in this room and I looked at it, I would probably be awestruck.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I can't fathom what $1 million feels like, looks like tangibly. And these guys have multiples of those. So
right.
These guys have multiples of those. And so you mean to tell me that, and Colin Kaepernick isn't even playing and managed to give away $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean to tell me this man's heart, put his heart and his money where his mouth is, and y'all couldn't do something? Like any kind of gesture? The only time we saw a massive movement of people doing something was when the president called them sons of bitches.
Right.
Oh, so I guess we talk about your mama, then you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got something to say. Yeah, so.
I mean, it's almost, I know a lot of people don't always want to be the first person to make the first step, right? Like, you don't always want to be the first person that goes against the grain. But he already did it. Like, he said, like, it's doable. You can do it. You can step out here and go against the grain. Yes, this is what's going to come along with it. He's shown you. Like, he's given almost the blueprint.
It is the blueprint.
Right, I mean, but it's like, y'all just going to let him hang alone?
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, because 2 more cars, is that on your checklist? I mean,
clearly.
What else do you need? I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just saying. I feel like some more people could follow the blueprint. But hey,
I'm just playing. I'm not judging. at this point,
I'm a little disappointed though.
Honestly, at this point, if the players aren't interested in doing anything, then I don't really know what to tell them. Like, I know I'm not gonna watch the NFL anymore, and every NFL player that I see, I'm going to be like, the question's gonna always be in the back of my mind. Why?
Right.
Why didn't you stand
Why didn't you stand with them? Right.
Well, excuse me, not necessarily stand with them, but why didn't you kneel with them?
Right.
Why didn't you stand for something? Mm-hmm. Because I guarantee you, when you're no longer that NFL player and you're walking in the mall or walking through Target, you're going to be seen as a threat.
Well, how many of them right now could get pulled over and the cop not know who they are and they still get regular nigga treatment, right?
A lot of them.
Okay, so then I feel like, would it be appropriate then?
I mean, the NFL stands for not for long anyway. I mean, you're not going to be there forever.
Nope.
And so at some point, I mean, Jamal Anderson, there was just an interview today, a story today, article today, talking about Jamal Anderson and how he struggles with, wanting to commit suicide and depression, because after he left the league, like, his trucking company failed and he had to file for bankruptcy and all kinds of stuff. And he says he's had a lot of concussions, CTE, and so he struggles with depression and thoughts of suicide. And,
mm-hmm.
He has health issues as a result of his football playing days. So, I mean, it's to the point where he has polyps that have grown in his nostrils. And so when he's eating or talking, he's literally not breathing.
Wow.
And so think about how that affects his sleep. He could die in his sleep.
Yeah, I mean, that's ironic to me that you can go out there and play and you literally will put your life on. You're putting your life on the line for the sport and then the fans.
moment you no longer hear the cheers of the crowd and the arena is empty, and you're just that regular black guy,
mm-hmm.
maybe driving in the Benz that you bought when you still had the league money, and you may still have some money left over, and you still may be doing well for yourself. But the moment you're that black man in a nice car, or that black man just riding through the neighborhood and no longer has that credential to get into the offices, or the credential to get in the stadium, and you get pulled over, you're not all pro linebacker so and so. You were a nigga.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you are. So, I mean, and some of these guys are really young, and so they may be short-sighted. Maybe they don't see it that way. But, you know, at some point, somebody's got to be like, hey, you know, this isn't right, and somebody needs to stand up, you know, period. So I'm waiting to hear what President Twitter Fingers has to say about that. But another thing that I'm waiting to hear that what President Twitter Fingers has to say is about Roseanne.
Oh, my goodness.
Roseanne done got her shit canceled.
You know, I'll be honest. I planned on watching more episodes, right?
I think we watched like 3 of them, right?
Well, like maybe the first 2.
Maybe the first 2.
And I was really excited. I'll be honest. I was excited. I was really excited that they brought the show back, and it was relevant and it was funny.
I'm not going to use the term excited. I'm going to say I was interested to see how they were going to integrate that little black girl into the show.
Mm-hmm.
And how her story arc was going to go, given Roseanne's proclivities for saying racist shit.
True.
So the reason Roseanne's show got canceled is because on May 29th, she was talking about Valerie Jarrett, former senior advisor to President Obama. She said Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby, and it's Valerie Jarrett. You know, VJ. And so shortly after that, Wanda Sykes, who was a consulting producer, quit the show. She was like, nah, I'm good. And so then she decided after that happened, Roseanne was like, I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I'm truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me. My joke was in bad taste. And then she said she was leaving Twitter. Shortly thereafter, the president of ABC Entertainment, Channing Dungey, said Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we have decided to cancel her show. Hey, Roseanne, baby. It's not smart to talk about black women when your boss a black woman. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Yeah.
Okay, so my thought process was this.
Uh-oh. Whenever you make that face, I know that you about to say something, and I'm going to be like, wait a minute.
No, it's not bad. It's not bad. But there is this kind of like unknown, unwritten rule, right? That there's the expectation that a lot of white people say a lot of racist things at home.
Right.
And I think now in the era of social media and expressing thoughts and opinions online, it's kind of tough to have that boundary line there because it's no longer at home. And so while it was a joke that plenty of people may have said at home, you just have to know you can't.
I mean, I'm well aware.
You can't make it publicly.
Yeah, I'm well aware of the fact that some of the very people who I see day in and day out probably go home and call me nigga. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's not, but the sad part about it is, it's not that. It's almost like they'll take into consideration that they don't want to offend you. So they'll be somewhat uncomfortable around you to make sure they're on their P's and Q's to not say it. But then when they can go home and be comfortable, then they can speak how they choose to speak, right? So I think with Roseanne, it was like you accidentally said it outside and somebody heard you, and then you just issue an apology.
Well, let me tell you what's really funny about this, what I find highly amusing, is that people are now certain people, specifically conservatives, predominantly majority white people, are now saying, well, wait a minute. So if Roseanne's racist words go against your values, what about The View? Like they specifically said The View is racist. Now,
really?
I don't think I've ever heard Whoopi Goldberg call anybody a cracker-ass cracker.
No.
Pretty sure Raven Simone gets on there all the time and talks about, all kinds of respectability politics and tells the whole world how trifling black people are. I don't understand that thought process. Like, here's what I've realized. Okay, there is a segment of the population that is white that believes that talking about anything that makes them uncomfortable is racist.
Right. I agree.
Or even talking about racism or bringing racism to the forefront is racist. No. Just no. And they're like, well, Roseanne has freedom of speech. Yeah. She doesn't have freedom from consequences, though. And so I laugh whenever somebody says that.
Yeah, that I actually had a experience. I was at a gas station one day, and there was a very inebriated white male in there, and he was. There's a lady that stands outside of this particular store. She's well known. Anybody that goes there, they know this lady. She'll open the door, tell you, good afternoon, good night, whatever, be blessed. And she doesn't ask for anything, but there's, the expectation that you may throw her $1 or $2 just because she's friendly and nice. Well, she came in and they started to exchange words about, I think a football team or something. I can't really remember. It wasn't anything, argumentative, but just friendly kind of chatter about their football team. And she ended up walking away. And after she walked away, he made a statement that wasn't as friendly as how he came across while she was in his presence. And so after that, there was a black male that said, man, you need to watch how you talk. And, he kind of checked him a little bit. It wasn't confrontational, but he checked him. And so then he said a couple more things. And after the black guy walked away, he said, whatever, man, you need to go to school and get an education. So I sat there for a second. I checked out and I made sure I go ahead. I paid for my things. And after I paid for my things, I said, well, how do you know he doesn't have an education? And he said, what? Excuse me? And I was like, well, you just made a statement. You don't know that man. I said, do you know him personally? He was like, no. And I said, well, how do you know he doesn't have an education? You just made a statement that could very well be untrue. And he was like, no, you're not going to do this to me. You're not going to do. And I was like, what? And I'm talking, very calmly. I'm just, asking a couple questions. And he was like, no, you're not going to race bait me. You're not going to make this about race. And I was like, oh, I didn't say anything about race.
And that's what they do.
Right.
That's exactly what they do. They're like, oh, you're race baiting. No, it's funny because, from time to time, I'll post something on a news site under the comment section, and somebody will come in and be like, they'll disagree with me. And then I'll hit them with fact after fact after fact, and they'll be like, you're a racist. Wait, what?
Right.
We could literally be talking about the stock market. And, I would say something about the stock market and they'll say something about how, well, such and such, such and such. I said, well, and I'll say, well, no, that has nothing to do with the stock market whatsoever. And they'll be like, you're just a hate-filled person and you're a racist. Oh, okay.
Should have never taught you niggas to read. Okay, that's basically
that's what they're saying. And it happens all the time.
Right.
All the time. That's why rule number 1 of the internet is do not read the comments.
I love reading the comments.
I don't. I stopped reading the comments a couple years ago.
Really?
I'll jump in sometimes just to troll because I think it's funny, and I'll make fun of people, and they don't realize I'm making fun of them. Because I think if I got time that day, I will entertain myself with your ignorance. That's just kind of one of the things that I find amusing.
I normally don't comment in the comments. I just like to read them though.
Yeah, no, I'll jump in and
I know you'll head dive.
Yeah, and I used to really kind of get a kick out of literally destroying people in the comment section and watching them get all flustered and triggered and call me a racist when I'm like, wait a minute, I never mentioned race. What are you talking about?
You can almost set a timer. It's how long will it take this time?
I know their playbook.
Right.
And so I got to the point one time, I got so good at picking out what was coming next that I would make my comment and then right below it, I would say, next, we're going to see XYZ. And lo and behold, boom, they would jump right into it, especially during the Obama years. They all read from the same playbook during the Obama years. And so I would do something really funny. I would be like, so what is it? They would be like, Obama's a Marxist, communist, socialist, everything. And I'd be like, so what's the difference between those? Do you know? And they'd be like, I just know. No. That's not what I asked you. Like, what's the difference? And so some people disengage, and then some people be like, "You're a racist."
I just thought the answer was he's a Muslim.
Oh yeah, that too. I'll never forget the time. Okay, so back when I was a teacher, this was like during Obama's first run for president. One of my students at the time said, "Obama's a Muslim." I said, "No, he's not. Didn't y'all just dislike his Christian pastor for saying goddamn America?" But it's in his blood. I said, so let me ask you a question. What's in your blood?
Racism.
Okay, that's not what I said.
Sorry.
But no, I was like, damn, that's funny. But no, I said, so Muslim is in his blood. So is it a box that you can check? Like, is it in his DNA? Like something like that? I said, let me ask you. I said, something may be in your family history, but that doesn't make you it. President, I said, at the time he wasn't President Obama, I said, Barack Obama doesn't have Muslim in his blood. He has white from Iowa and Nigerian in his blood. Okay? That's it.
Right.
Now, what religion is ascribed to either one of those
beliefs
nationalities?
aren't in your blood.
Right. And that's what I had to lay down for people. And they were like, wow, okay. And the thing is, but that back then, at my much younger age is what let me realize that people really 9 times out of 10 will ascribe certain things to people of color just to make them seem as though they are evil and nefarious in some sort of way. And that's the way I kind of look at things. Like, there's a lady who, you know, and let's not go down this road. Let's move on, because I don't want to get it. This turn into a whole sociological conversation, and we already over an hour.
I am just wondering though, why couldn't you tell the little kid, like, so your great granddaddy had slaves and raped some of them? What are you? Is in your blood? I'm sorry, but
because I would have got fired.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to music.
From the culture.
So, speaking of the culture, 21 Savage and Amber Rose.
No.
So, Amber Rose wrote this long, drawn-out love letter to 21 Savage on Instagram. And shortly after, he posted something like, if you fuck me over once, it's fuck you forever.
I mean, I don't even use the term,
once
but
you cross me, it's fuck you forever.
I'm sick of it.
Now, here's what's crazy. So, the word is that Amber Rose cheated on 21 with one of his friends.
I mean, is there really a such thing as cheating in those type of relationships?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm just going to move the fuck on. I'm not going to answer that question. Nope. I feel like that's a setup question.
No, I said in those types of relationships.
Not touching it with a 10-foot pole. Let's move on to WTF for the week. Kendrick Lamar was at Hangout Fest in Alabama, and he pulled...
Oh, goodness.
He pulls his girl Delaney on the stage to sing
Delaney.
Mad City. And so, you know, he always does this. And he had 2 other people come on stage and do it. And so, you know, as she sings, she goes, "Man down, where you from, nigga?" And so Kendrick stops the whole track and is like, yo, you can't do that. She says, "What, I'm not cool enough for you? What's up, bro?" Delaney, you're absolutely not cool enough to say the N-word ever.
If you said bro.
Life. Ever.
Yeah.
Now, bro's a thing. Like, bro's a thing right now.
I mean, in your response, though?
Bro's a thing, though. Like
if I'm talking to him, like, hey, bro, blah, 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 blah.
Bro's
but if you have
thing,
to, like, say it when you kind of trying to check somebody, it's not a thing.
But it's a thing, though. Like, that's kind of like the vernacular right now. That's the verbiage right now.
I don't really like bro. But
and he said you got to bleep one single word. And she kept doing it. And he was like, "Nah, you got to go. You got to go." Now, here's my thing. If 2 other people could do it, why couldn't you, Delaney? And what makes it so bad for me is black folks and white folks trying to figure out how to cape for Delaney and saying, well, Kendrick Lamar's a hypocrite for saying the N-word in the song and then not letting her say it when she gets on stage. If you are over the age of 3 in America and you are of Caucasian descent, you know you can't say that damn word. And if you do, there are consequences and repercussions with it.
Some don't know they can't say it.
The hell they don't. They know.
Some of your friends. No, not in like a cool way. They think they can say it. Their friends don't hold them accountable.
They know. Just because your friends don't hold you accountable don't mean that the other people ain't gonna hold you. Everybody ain't your friend, bro.
Well, see, the thing is, I didn't know he gave her the opportunity. I didn't know, like, he technically corrected her and then expected her to do it the right way afterwards, and she still decided not to.
Yeah.
Man, get your ass.
So, speaking of getting people the fuck out of here, this is what I really wanted to get to. This was my thing here. I was ready for this. So, check this out. Pusha T and Drake are beefing. I'm so excited. So, Pusha T on Friday dropped his latest EP. I'm not going to call it an LP because it's only 7 songs. It's only 21 minutes. And since it was produced by Kanye, I bootlegged it. Yes, I admit to that. So, the last song on it, he takes a couple of soft shots at Drake. So, less than 24 hours later, Drake comes back with haymakers in his own track. Well, shortly before we recorded this, Pusha T came back with a response to Drake where he's talking about Drake, being a deadbeat dad and hiding his kid and all that. Talked about his moms, talked about his producer, 40.
The baby mom.
Baby mama, everything. And I'm like, this is not going to end well for Drake.
I don't think it was a response. I don't think it was a comeback.
What you mean?
I think he already had it prepared. I think the first few baby shots were the setup, and you knew Drake was going to come back with something. So
what's finna happen is Drake finna drop like 3 diss tracks full of emotion. Mm-hmm. He probably going to be singing at Pusha T. Like, yeah. I'm just like, but the thing is, one thing about Push is that Push is an actual lyricist. Like, Push really is one of those guys who you have to pay attention because he'll say something and it'll go past you and you got to go back and check it again.
Yeah, I did that.
And so Push is really, I feel like the track that he dropped tonight was 3 minutes. And it was so surgical and so precise in his disrespect for Drake. I feel like he's going to keep going. He's going to do something else. And I feel like this is the first in a series. Like, it's going to be like, Making of a Murderer. Not the Joe Budden track where he dismantled Drake, because Joe Budden really sent some heat Drake's way, and Drake kind of tried to dodge that smoke. But now we're about to see Push really kind of pick him apart. And so I don't know if this was a good. I don't know if this was the one for Drake to respond to. You know what I'm saying? I know Drake gets all these passes, and everybody wants to be like you said, it's not cool to beat up the cool nerd. Mm-mm. But like I said then, at some point, you're not gonna people not just gonna keep accepting the fact that you the cool guy that can take these shots. Nah. Now, I think before we started the show, you want to know where all this came from. Mm-hmm. Well, originally back in the day, the Clips had a little issue with Lil Wayne. That song "Mr. Me Too," that was about Wayne. And so there's always been a little tension between those two camps here and there. Push is no longer firing at Wayne, though. He actually respected. What he said about Wayne was that he had some heat for Baby. He's mentioned Baby in both of his tracks, but his response to Wayne was really like, you was kind of getting messed over. Salute to Ross for telling the truth about what was going on in that on that Rather You Than Me album with Idols Become Rivals. Mm-hmm. So he alluded to that. And so this is something that's been simmering for a while, but with Drake, Push really was just, he had a Breakfast Club interview. I'm gonna let you guys go check that out for him to go in detail about why he took a shot at Drake. But I feel like really what it is that it's beyond time for people to stop. I think this is good for the culture, and it's beyond time for people to stop pretending like everything is just kosher and everybody should just be friends, because Drake picks and chooses which smoke he wants.
He does.
when Kendrick wanted that smoke, Drake ain't want no parts of that. When Budden wanted smoke, he ain't want no parts of that. He sent the shot at Common. Common sent back a missile. He ain't want no parts of that. So I don't know what made him think he could jump out the window and push like this.
Yeah, he misjudged.
Yeah, like I don't. Now, don't get me wrong. Drake's first response was solid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Push tapped him on the chin, and Drake came back with a couple of solid shots to the body. But now,
Yeah, but what I heard tonight,
Push checking that chin now. Push like, hey, Drake gonna have to. And what makes it even worse is that the artwork, so to speak, the picture that accompanies Pusha T's diss track has Drake in blackface. Yeah. I mean, like real blackface. Like blacked out face with the red lips.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to kind of explain that one, though, Drake.
Oh, he got plenty explaining to do.
I mean, because you can't just come back with like a good, response, but then don't acknowledge why you in blackface.
Blackface.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a Canadian thing that we don't know about? I don't know. Anyway, well, that's all we got for this week, man. We got we went through a whole lot. You got any parting shots?
No, I don't actually. It's good to be back. Hope everybody's been great. Staying positive.
Hey, stay positive. Drink water.
Protect your peace.
Yeah, protect your peace, and don't take shots at Pusha T, man. Yeah, because it won't end well for you. That's going to do it for us here at the Kind of Sleepy Podcast. Make sure you check us out on your Apple Podcast app, the Google Play Store. We're on Spotify as well, Stitcher, SoundCloud. We everywhere, man. So y'all just check us out and stay tuned for the rest of the Kind of Sleepy family coming up soon. And we'll check y'all next week. Peace.